Welcome to Learn with Mr. Lewis. I am, of course, Mr. Lewis, and it's been a couple of months. But here I am giving you an income report for my TPT journey. That's what I'm doing. So let's see. November and December, those are the 2 months I'm reporting on of 2024. These, of course, are the last 2 months of the year. They're also my 16th and 17th full months as a seller on TPT. So let me tell you a little bit about me for those who haven't seen this before and for everyone else, because it's just that interesting. I am a full-time social studies teacher at a middle school here in Arizona. I teach in a big district. I've been teaching, this is year 24 for me as a public school teacher. So there you go. That's a quick bio on me. So I'm doing all of this while still teaching full time. And yes, it is a big time commitment, but I think you'll see from this video, and if you've watched other ones, it's really been worth it. And hopefully that will continue. So let's see, you can obviously see any of those previous income reports right here on my channel, and you can see really cool history videos, because nothing is cooler than history videos, right? Okay, here we go. So both of these months were better than I expected, and it probably sounds like a broken record because I feel like I say that every time, and maybe you think it's disingenuous, but I promise it is not. I just keep doing better than I would expect, really better than I'd hope, than I would have hoped. And that's been going on for pretty much the whole time I've been on here selling stuff. There's been a month or two that was a little disappointing, maybe earlier in 2024. But I have consistently beaten what I did last year so far with because it was July that I put my store up for the first time back in July of 2023. And I really have just consistently, once I made my way back around to July, well, it was the middle of July. So August was the first full month of 2023. Anyway, I'm rambling. Let's get to this. So these 2 months were both great. Let's just put it that way. And my followers did increase. I'm up to 109 followers, so that's a +4 on followers. I got 12 more reviews, and really good ones for the most part. And my store currently has 131 products. Haven't been able to increase my product offerings a whole lot over the last several months, but I definitely have made some improvements to some of the ones that I have up there. And anyway, things are going well. So let's jump right into those numbers. First off, let's go to the month ranking. So this is a new-ish feature. It's about a year old now. Because I think January of last year? Somewhere around there. Something like that. I don't remember. That was, I think, about the first time they had it. It was about a year ago. And this is cool because it allows you to compare yourself to other stores. And it does a ranking that's based only on stores that actually sold a product that month. And so I think it's a pretty realistic ranking. Like if it was basing it on every store that's up there, I know a lot of people have stores that haven't sold anything. I actually put my store up a couple of years ago, put one like product in it, and then never did anything with it for like 4 years. So I think there are a lot of people that are like that. And I have a dog that's just going bonkers right now. Just Mrs. Lewis will show you. She's just going crazy. She loves those toys. So no way. So the monthly ranking. So this gives you a number, like a raw number and a percentile ranking for how you have compared to all the other stores that have sold on TPT. Now, it doesn't come out until about the 5th of the next month. So I'm actually going to be giving you the monthly rankings for October and November. Yes, October and November. So let's start. So is that right? Yes. All right, so October. This is my monthly ranking for October, and as you can see there, I was store number 3,990, which was the 97th percentile. So I'm really, really happy with that. Obviously, if you're up in that range, you're doing okay. And I realize that there are some people, those top couple of percentiles are probably out of control on the sales they're getting compared to mine, but really happy with that. And then my November ranking, very similar. Store number 3,768, 96th percentile when it comes to that ranking. So again, that's compared to all the other stores. And I'll get you December's numbers sometime in the future. That's something we'll talk about at the end. Okay, views. All right, now views is kind of an interesting one because in general, they weren't really better maybe than in the past or similar to the past. But my views have translated better into sales, as you're going to see here. So let's take a look at November. First of all, as you can see, my views were actually down a little bit from last year, from the equivalent time last year. So my views this time around, 1,320. Now, this was above my average. So if we go all the way back to when I started, I've averaged 880 views per month. So it was better than that average, but a little bit lower than I did in November of last year. All right, so now let's take a look at December. And as you can see, numbers down just a little bit from last year. I'm at 667, but, November brought my average up, so I'm even lower compared to the average. This time I'm below average. My average month over the course of the time that I've been on TPT is 906 views per month. So views are down a little bit. I'm not sure exactly why that is. It's probably something that I should kind of look into and pay attention to. But I'm not too worried about it because my sales definitely better. So anyway, so let's look at units sold. So as you can see, even though my views were down slightly, my units sold were almost twice what they were last year in November. So 384 compared to 202. And so my average units sold, so this is a really high month because I'm averaging 115 units sold per month. Now, the reason for that is I have this one product that is like a big time November product. It was great for me last year, even better for me this year, and that is my Thanksgiving History Channel Thanksgiving video guide. So it's just a worksheet that goes along with a video that really is a great video to show, especially, that week before Thanksgiving when you're everyone's fried and you're kind of scrambling for something to do. This is a great video and a nice little question guide that goes with it. I sold 234 of those in November of 2024. So, wow. So a lot. Anyway, I think the year before I'd sold about 100-ish. I can't remember the exact number of those I sold. So again, it's even a big jump from what I did with that particular product last year. Now, I don't make a lot of money off of it. It's like barely over $1 because I'm selling it for $1.50. But still, 234, that's, probably about $250 I made off of that, give or take. And so totally happy. Also, it's like that whole idea of residual income, which is something that's cool about TPT that I'm finally now starting to experience because I finally, I'm beyond that 12-month period. And so I'm really starting to feel that residual income. And it's nice. I didn't have to do anything with this. This was a product that I got up in the store last year in 2023. And so 2024, all I did was, check the link. It took me a few seconds and was able to just make money off of it. And I expect to be able to continue to do that into the future. So that's the cool thing. Anyway, so unit sales, great in November. December, also they were up, even though, like I said, my views were down slightly. So 114 units were sold compared to 85 last year. And of course, November brought my average up a lot. So the average for my store is 132. So it's still a little below my overall average, but it's a number I'm really happy with for December. And if you look at that graph there, it really, big surprise, tapers off the last week or so of December. No shocker there, right? And so it is technically a full month, but it kind of doesn't feel like a full month because you're missing a chunk of time where you're really not going to sell much. Not a lot of people are logging on to TPT on Christmas Day buying stuff from the store. It's just weird. Who knew? Okay, conversion rate. Let's take a look at that. So for November, my conversion rate was awesome, 29%. Like that's like out of control. Like normally you're thinking if you get in the double digits, that's like an amazing conversion rate. And last year, my conversion rate was really good, also 15%. But to basically double that conversion rate, this is why even though my views were down a little bit, my sales were way up. So anyway, I'm averaging about 13% each month in my store. So yeah, this is the best month I think I've ever had, right? At 29%, I don't think I've ever had anything close to that. So Mrs. Lewis is telling me, yes, that is my best month. Okay, Mrs. Lewis knows all, just so you know. Do you want to come over and say hello, Mrs. Lewis? She does not. Okay. She's very camera shy, although she shouldn't be, because she's really the eye candy of the channel. Nobody needs this. She should be doing this video. Okay, there is a video, if you go back, I don't remember when it was, but there is a video that Mrs. Lewis appears on. So, if you can find that, you get bonus points, extra credit. Okay. December, my conversion rate was also really great, 17%, up from last year, 11%. And so, I feel like if I can keep those conversion rates up in that range, this bodes well for the future. So I don't expect 29% very often, but hey, if I get that every November, I'll be thrilled with that. Okay, so let's now move on to the thing that you've all been waiting for, the earnings. All right, so what were my earnings for November 2024? As you can see, great. Okay, $729.88. That's essentially, I basically doubled what I did last year. And what I did last year, I was really satisfied with, being that I'd only had my store up up and running for real for a few months. 366 was what I made last year. So I only had 5 days across the month with no sales. My best day was $70.47. I had five days of $50 plus. So that's pretty awesome. Those $50 days are always exciting. Just ask the angry teacher. He likes to talk about those $50 days. So shout out to him. If you haven't watched his channel, he's got some really good stuff about TPT. And I did have, my lowest earning day, of course, were the 5 zeros. But other than the $5 days, $1.04. So probably sold one of those Thanksgiving video guides on that day. And that was it. Okay. Let's now look at December, which December, I don't know. I never think I'm going to do that great, and then it always ends up being better than I expected, which I guess is nice. But this was definitely the case. So as you can see, December, I did really, really, really well. $488. So that's a great number. That's better than twice what I did last year, 2023 in December. You can see just $226 in 2023. I had a lot more days with no sales, obviously, with the winter break. So 12 days with no sales. I had a really, really high earning day. That was right there at the beginning of the month. That was on December 2nd. One of my best days I think I've ever had, $144.81. Not the best I've ever had, but up there. And I had one day with $50, and it was that crazy day. I didn't have any other $50 days the whole rest of the month. And my lowest earning day was one of those, somebody bought one little $1.50 item, so I made $1.19 on that one. So anyway, sales were just awesome, and I'm really just humbled by it because, I've put a lot of work into it, so I don't want to discount that. And Mrs. Lewis has also put work into it. So we have put, as a team, a lot of work into the store. But it's really gratifying, really satisfying to see it pay off. And I'm sure some of you out there are looking at this and you're probably thinking, that ain't that great. I do that all the time. Awesome. Kudos to you. Keep it up. But there's probably some of you out there who are kind of like I was a year and a half ago, and you're just getting started. And hopefully this is encouraging to you that it is something you can do. And I mean, it is. I think to be successful, you do have to put a lot of work into it. But a lot of that work is up front, and then over time, hopefully, it becomes less and less work in some ways to be able to even make better profits as your store gets out there and gets more searches and gets more purchases. Then it pushes you up the board on those searches. And anyway, So I've definitely seen that be the case with my products. Anyway, so we're at the end of the year, and so I'm gonna. Well, I do this every time, but we're gonna look at my total earnings and look at the different months and how I did from one month to the next. And so these are my total earnings since I started my store, which again was in the middle of July 2023. As you can see, almost to $10,000 in that period of time. And so that's awesome. That's like 2 good vacations, right? Because I've told this story before, but when I was pretty early on in my store and I'd made just a couple $1,000s, and some of my colleagues at work were asking me, "Hey, how's your TPT store doing?" And I don't really like to share or brag or whatever on that, but they kind of pressed me, and so I told them how much I'd made. I think at that point it was about 2,000 or 3,000, and one of the teachers was like, "Well, that's awesome. That's a vacation right there," and that's totally true. So anyway, if nothing else, gotten a couple of vacations out of this, right? Anyway, so yeah, that's my total. Again, $9,700. I'm expecting that by the end of January, I will definitely be in that $10,000 range. So add another digit onto the totals that I've made. Anyway, this is the Mrs. Lewis chart especial that she made that shows how I've done. And you can see that August of 2024 is like the insane month. But anyway, so this is for the year 2024 only that you can see here. But anyway, you can see what we've got there and how this year has gone. And yeah, really, really happy with that. And yeah, the numbers have steadily gone down since August, but it did the same thing last year. But August was a lot smaller last year compared to this year. So anyway, we'll see where it goes. If it's like last year, you can see I had my lowest months, March, April of last year, of 2024. So we'll see if those are low months for me again in 2025. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Anyway, so there's the chart where you can get a little bit of a comparison. Okay, so reviews. And I really appreciate getting reviews. I really appreciate the feedback. Sometimes I get some really nice constructive feedback, which is great. And sometimes that's people who still give me, have given me a 5-star review on a product, but they're like, hey, it would be nice if blank. And that gives me a chance to look at that kind of from someone else's eyes, through someone else's eyes, and get an idea of things that I might be able to improve. So I do appreciate the reviews and the feedback. And it's just a good reminder whenever you buy something on TPT to always review. You do get a little bit of a credit. It's not a lot, but it's better than nothing, right? And it definitely helps out other people's stores. Okay, so let's read a couple of reviews. This first one is from Kimberly W. This was from November 15th. 5-star review on my Cola Wars Food That Built America video guide. And she says, my students had a lot of fun watching this episode and filling out the worksheet. We had a lively discussion about Coke versus Pepsi. Well, that lively discussion would be very one-sided in the Mr. Lewis household. Coke. I love Coke, probably too much. Okay. Anyway, and she said that students were engaged, strongly agree. She did this with 9th graders and with a lot of diverse students on the 9th grade level. So I'm really glad. Thank you, Kimberly, for this great review. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad that this worked for you. Awesome. Okay, this next one is on my Today in History bundle. This is really my signature product. This is the thing that has made me by far the most money in my store. These warm-ups, these are daily history warm-ups. And this is the big bundle that has the whole year, because I have it broken into months. You can buy it 1 month at a time, or you can, like you see here, buy for the whole year. And this is from Ashley W., and she gave this review just a week or so ago on December 23rd. It's a 5-star review, extremely satisfied. And she writes, this resource was a classroom game changer. Engaging, clear, and easy to use, it provided everything needed for a start of class bell ringer. The content aligned perfectly with curriculum standards, saving prep time. Thank you, Ruby. Saving prep time and keeping students focused, Highly recommend. So, and then she did this with 7th graders, and the students were engaged. And this really is dogs. What can you do? All right. This really is one of the best reviews I've ever gotten. And it really, I don't know, it's gratifying. And obviously, I'm in this primarily for the money. But there's also a part of me that I think, gosh, I've made some things in my 24 years of teaching that are good and that I think are useful, and that I'm happy to be able to share them with others and save them a little work. I certainly look back at especially when I was a young teacher, but not even when I was a brand new teacher. I mean, I get ideas from teachers all the time, even now, but especially I look back at when I was a new teacher and how much I depended on other teachers in my department and at my school who helped me with things. Whether it was curriculum or classroom management or whatever it was. And so there's a part of me that as I'm getting, long in the tooth here as a teacher, that I feel like one cool thing about being able to have this, have this store is it's a chance for me to kind of share some of, what has been successful and effective for me and kind of pass that on to a new generation of teachers, I guess. And it's cool because there's a way to connect all the way across the country through this. And so even though obviously my primary motivation is to make money off of this, and I wouldn't probably be able to do this, have the time or the will to do this without that. But at the same time, there's that other benefit that is that that you're helping other people do a job that we all know as teachers is challenging, and it seems to just get more challenging. And I'm sure some of that is just me getting older, but it's a tough job. So anyway, thank you, Ashley W. I really do appreciate this review so much. Thank you. Okay, so that was November and December for me. It was a good 2 great months after a really great year, overwhelmingly great, and I hope it just means more of the same in the future. So my plans for next month, a lot of it is just, I'm always just trying to stay ahead if I can and stay afloat with my real job, which is teaching my 7th graders. So that's kind of my goal for this month. I'd love to hear from you how things went for you in November and December. Oh, and also, please join my email list. There's a link into the description, and you do get a free product from my store if you do that. Also, I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but I do daily history videos on YouTube, and so please watch those videos as well. I think you'll find them to be interesting. And I do have a question for you, though, because I have, for a while there, I was doing an income report every month, and then sometimes it's been a couple of months like this last one, and that has mostly just been determined on me being able to find the time to do this. But I'd love to hear from you. What do you prefer? Would you prefer, since you're watching this, would you prefer an income report every month? Would you prefer it like this one every 2 months or quarterly or what? Let me know in the comments, and I will, take a look at that and factor that into my decision making on when I'll do my next one. But anyway, also, last thing, please like and subscribe. Really does help the channel. And you know what? Have a great 2025.